Welcome in. This is the first show, post-game show of the Gators final reports. I'll be doing this for 1 hour after every Florida Gator game. I am Dylan Denmark, host of the podcast On the Mark with Denmark. Boy, we got a lot to get to when it comes to the Florida Gators and what happened tonight over Florida Atlantic in the game that just went final. I think the final score ended up being 35-14. First, before we start, guys, let's like and subscribe to the YouTube channel on the Gator page at the Voice of College Football with Mark Rogers. I'd like to thank him for giving me the opportunity, and like and share this on all of your social media pages. All right, to start, offensively, Emory Jones was the new starting quarterback. There was a lot of questions going into the game. How is he going to be? Getting the keys, getting the playbook fully for the first time in his first 4 years. He sat behind Felipe Franks. He sat behind Kyle Trask last year. What was he going to do? A lot of Gator fans expected him to do well. The question was, how well was he going to do? I think he played decent. Of course, there are a lot of plays you wish you could take back. The first two drives of the game, Florida drove right down the field, scored 2 touchdowns, made it 14-0. The next 2 drives, he throws a pick in the end zone as they drove all the way down to like right around the 10-yard line. And it looked like on that pass, he bulleted it right to the flat defender instead of lofting it to his intended receiver, who I forget who that was. Then on the next drive, Dan Mullen did a very odd quarterback sneak from the 4-yard line. Didn't make a lot of sense on a 4th and goal from the 4-yard line, but it's, I don't know. I really don't. I'm not sitting here to question Dan Mullen. I don't agree with the play call, but Dan Mullen watches the film and breaks down the plays, and I'm just a slappy sportscaster that just looks at it. I was at the game, so there was a lot of things I missed. So if you guys see something or saw something that I didn't see from the television broadcast, please let me know. Let me know in the comments. And as I said before, please like and share this video on all your social media platforms and subscribe to the Gator page. We're at about 268, I believe it is, subscribers. Let's try to get us to around 1,000. That's our goal before the end of the season. So let's start with the good and bad for Florida offensively. The last 2 seasons, Florida was not able to run the football. Florida tonight was able to run the football. As you can see this ticker below, Florida's first downs. Now, these aren't 100% accurate because I didn't finish it all the way. But, I mean, Florida outgained Florida Atlantic by almost 200 yards. They ran the ball for over, my goodness, I'm trying to think. It was well over 200. They ran for over 400 yards, the most ever in a season opener. That was pretty impressive. One of the things I was really looking forward to for Florida was their ability to run the football. Florida had not been able to do that at all the last 2 seasons. It was more 70-30, 80-20 pass to run. And tonight it was definitely run to pass. Malik Davis got a lot of the carries. He had his first 100-yard game since 2017. You have to go way back, all the way back to when Jim McElwain was the head coach. That's been a long time, guys. That's been a long time. And Damian Pierce didn't get a lot of carries in the first half. That seemed kind of odd. He played a little bit of special teams, I think. I think that was some kind of penalty or suspension in-house that Dan Mullen did not want to get let out. Because you saw right in the second half, he came in and he was playing, and he scored a touchdown. So I think that was something in-house. We're definitely going to get to let's slow this down. Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. Definitely drop your comments and share this on all your Facebook and Twitter pages, and continue to share this page and subscribe to the Gator page. As this is the Gators final report. I'm Dylan Denmark, host of On the Mark with Denmark. I graduated from the University of Florida, and I've been going to games for quite a while, since 2006. So I see a couple comments as we see here. As Dan Mullen, and let's see here. Dan Mullen really just said there's no QB battle. I don't know. That's going to be a big question going forward. Anthony Richardson, it's hard to not look at his talent, what he's able to do running the football. And I'm not going to be emotional and say here, well, oh, Emory Johnson, he's no good. Let's get him off and throw Anthony Richardson. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to trust Dan Mullen's judgment. If you remember, not a lot of people knew Kyle Trask, and I think Kyle Trask did pretty well. And a lot of people thought Emory Jones should have started over Kyle Trask last season, and I think Dan Mullen made the right decision. He's had a pretty good resume, I would say, at the quarterback position, so I'm going to trust Dan Mullen right now. At the moment, it's just game one. Let's not overreact. It's like the Jags in the preseason game in week 2. Everybody wants to overreact. They couldn't play well against Saints. It's a preseason game. I'm not overreacting. It's game one. You experiment. You have a whole game. It's Florida Atlantic, a game you expected to win, and you did. Next week, you play South Florida. Let's see how that goes. And then you play Alabama in week 3. If you guys are watching Dan Mullen or the press conference, please let me know in the comments what he says. But it'll be definitely interesting to see what goes forward, because I don't see how you leave Anthony Richardson off the field. That's not to say he's going to start these next couple of weeks, but you can't deny his ability, what he's able to do to run with the football. I was at the game, and the dude, he's a dude. In football, there's guys and there's dudes, and he's definitely a dude. There was a play late in the fourth quarter. He made 2 dudes miss, and he hurdled a guy at his size. That's not normal. So let's start with the positive and negatives offensively for Florida. Florida, in the first half, you really had 5 drives, but 1 was cut short at halftime. In the first 4 drives, you drove right down the field. It went right down the field, touchdown, right down the field, touchdown. Able to run the ball, something Florida had not been able to do the last 2 seasons under Dan Mullen, because the offensive line wasn't that good. And well, it seems like Dan Mullen's going to have to run the football a lot this season, because, I mean, that worked for them all night. Passing, I wish I would have seen Dan Mullen throw the ball deep downfield more. But, it's the first game. Like I said before, I'm not going to overreact. And you went right down the field the first 2 drives, scored 2 touchdowns, and then I didn't understand the quarterback sneak on a 4th and goal at the 4-yard line, and I didn't. And then the interception, I think it was a miscommunication. It looked like the throw was a whip. He threw it a strike to the flat defender. I think the ball should have been lofted. I forget who the receiver was. But Florida's able to run the ball. Passing is a little bit of a question right now, so that's the positive and the negative so far. Offensively, that was in the first half. I didn't understand Anthony Richardson getting a snap at the slot receiver in a Hail Mary. I mean, I don't understand why Xavier Henderson, Trent Whittemore, I mean, any of those guys, I understand, maybe if Dan Mullen wanted to say that there was I know Anthony Richardson's definitely one of the taller players, but I didn't understand. I mean, he's not a receiver, he's your backup quarterback. And I know he got mugged. It probably should have been a pass interference, but I didn't really understand that. Defensively, defense played really well. There were a lot of questions around the defense, especially after what happened a year ago. And what was the biggest question for Florida was up front. If you're not able to get pressure, live in the backfield, get pressure after the quarterback, and do things and stop the run, it doesn't matter how good your back end is, how good your linebackers are, how good Kyer Elam or any defensive back is, you're not going to be successful. And Florida did really well. They had let me look up the exact stats, but Zachary Carter had a good night. Bogle had a sack. Let me see here. It was so Florida ends up winning 35-14. They hold Florida Atlantic to 350 yards, less than 100 yards rushing, and they gave up, I guess it was right around 260 yards passing. Still looking to see exactly how many sacks there were. But yeah, Florida did really well up front. There was a lot of questions. There was a transfer that came Monday. He played today. Another transfer from Auburn, another transfer from Penn State. Florida played really, really well defensively, and I see a lot of comments around the Bama game. And yeah, that's going to be the biggest question. You know, Florida has 2 practice games, and we'll see how they go because Alabama's going to be Alabama, and that defense did not take a step back. They seem like they're in midseason form already. I mean, Nick Saban is one of the greatest coaches, but he's the greatest coach in the history of college football in week 1. What you've seen him to do, especially in those neutral site games. So a lot of reaction I see from Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones. If you didn't see what I said at the beginning, I'm not overreacting. I'm not going to question Dan Mullen. So we'll see what he does next week in South Florida. That's not to say I have a lot of questions and have a lot of concerns with Emory Jones, but Anthony Richardson, you can't deny that what he's able to do with the football. I mean, you saw a 75-yard run. You saw him able to throw the ball. He ended up final with, with 160 yards rushing and was 3 for 80. He ended up 3 for 3. I think those last 5 incompletions were in that last drive where Florida recovered that onside kick after Florida Atlantic got that second touchdown. But yeah, I think Anthony Richardson, if I were to sit here and guess right now, today's date, September 4th, after the Florida Atlantic game, I would say Anthony Richardson is going to play a little bit more of a role than what Tebow did in 2006. If you remember in that game, in that season, Chris Leak was the starter, and Tebow came in a lot in the 3rd and short, 4th and short, and he played a huge role in that season. And I think Anthony Richardson right now, after this Florida Atlantic game, remember, I think that's the role that he's going to play in this season so far. We have a couple comments coming in, guys. This is the Gators' final report. I'm Dylan Denmark. You can follow me on Twitter. Let me put up my page here. Dylan_Denmark. I'm host of On the Mark with Denmark. You can find it on YouTube, and I post all my content on Twitter, Dylan_Denmark. That's DYLEN. And let's continue to share this page. There's not a lot of subscribers. There's about 268 last I saw. The goal is try to get it to 1,000. So let's continue to share this page on our Facebook and Twitter pages. We'll do this for about 45 minutes to an hour until A&M goes final. And let me tell you guys, it was definitely a lot of fun being in the swamp. It was packed for the first time since 2019 when Florida played Florida State. A lot of the students were there. There weren't a lot of empty seats. And the next home game is going to be 2 weeks from now when Florida plays Alabama at 3:30 CBS. And that place is going to be rocking, I believe. It probably is going to be something that hasn't been in quite a long time. So drop your comments, any of your questions, comments concerning or really anything around the Florida Gators. I know there's a lot of comments coming in about Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. Let's see here. We had, you better question Mullen, same coach that started Felipe Franks over Kyle Trask. That is true. Now, I'll say Felipe Franks did have the experience when he came in. But, I mean, the guy had Alex Smith. He had Chris Leak. He's had Tim Tebow. He had Dak Prescott at Mississippi State, Fitzgerald at Mississippi State. That's not to say you can't question him, but, I mean, Felipe Franks did make an NFL roster. Kyle Trask should have started over him. Hindsight, everything is 2020. But that is true. Again, I'm not overreacting. We'll see what it's like next week. You know, Dan Mullen and the offensive staff's going to chop it up. And they're going to play a not very good USF team next week that didn't look good against NC State. So essentially another practice game before Florida plays Alabama. Let's see here. I had a couple other things I wanted to talk about. Um, the defense, there was a couple of miscues. There were a couple of times in the first half where, I mean, if I'm nitpicking, I mean, Florida played really well, especially on the defensive line. Interiorly, Zach Carter played well. Bogle played well. The interior with number 21, if I get his name. And there were a lot of new numbers. There was a lot of guys that I was like, I saw the last name, but I didn't know this number. But defense played really well. Holding Florida Atlantic, they didn't get a red zone trip till like late in the fourth quarter. But I was pleased with Florida's defensive performance and what they were able to do. As Florida beat Florida Atlantic 35-14, causing a couple turnovers. Florida Atlantic didn't get a lot of plays into Florida territory. As let's see here, I'm looking at the time of possession was pretty even. Florida Atlantic had 29 minutes to Florida's 28. First downs were pretty even. Florida Atlantic had a lot of first downs in that fourth quarter. Total yards ended up being 553 for Florida and 352 for Florida Atlantic. So we'll definitely see. In the first half, I didn't really understand quite why Damian Pierce wasn't playing in the first half, and I was really intrigued to see two backs in the backfield that Dan Mullen harped on a lot in the offseason, other than coach speak and talking about COVID and explaining why the defense wasn't good. I think it was pretty lazy to say why the defense wasn't good. He was saying that, you didn't have a spring practice. I mean, nobody have a spring practice, so you can't really say it's on. It wasn't just you, it was everybody. But he really said a lot that Florida was going to use a lot of two backs in the backfield. And he really didn't do that a lot in the first half. I was pretty surprised. He had a couple of times from Bowman, and I think it was and Malik Davis. Malik Davis had a pretty good game. A guy who's been in the program since 2017, a fifth-year senior. He played pretty well. It was his first 100-yard game since 2017, and Florida ran the ball with over 400 yards. But I was surprised that he said it a lot in the offseason and didn't use it a lot in the game from what I saw, unless I didn't see it in the fourth quarter when I was coming back from the game. I was at the game and had to come back here for the show. Alex Bowman played pretty well. Offensive line played really well. The receivers, there wasn't a lot of standouts. I was expecting a lot more of Copeland to get a couple of carries. And he didn't get balls thrown his way. So I don't know if that was part of the scheme, part of the playbook. Xavier Henderson didn't get a lot of catches. Let me see. Weston was the leading receiver with 44 yards. Rick Wells, the guy, 6-year senior, seems like he's been in Florida forever, since 2016, a 6th-year senior. He got his first touchdown tonight. The guy from Jacksonville, from Raines High School. And Whittemore got a catch. Shorter got 4. Justin Shorter, I don't know if it looks like this on TV, but Shorter looks like a grown man. I don't know if it's something I haven't really noticed until tonight, but it definitely looks like he's the guy that could put his hand in there and play tight end. And then Naquan Wright, also another guy. He got a couple of plays who saw a lot of productivity, getting a couple of carries. He got 1 catch for 4 yards and 3 carries for 5. Guys, I need your help. This is the Gators final reports at the Voice of College Football. I'm Dylan Denmark, as you can see there. Follow me on Twitter at Dylan_Denmark. Let's continue to get our subscribers up. As I see, we have about 17 guys on right now. However you may be listening, like this channel, like this page, subscribe, and we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And let me try to do this real quick. And like I said before, drop any questions and comments on anything around quarterback, around Dan Mullen's play calling. I didn't understand the quarterback sneak on a 4th and goal from the 4-yard line. Emory Jones, the 2 interceptions he had, one was just a bad read. on his second touchdown. The first interception to me was he whipped it and what should have been a loft, and the flat defender was right there to catch it. But Florida Atlantic, give them credit. They held Florida to 14 points at the half. The Vegas spread for the first half was 13 and a half, and Vegas hit it at 14. Final score ended up being 35-14 Florida over Florida Atlantic. I wasn't a quarterback sneak. Let's see here. We have Walker here. By the looks of the DM was upset because that wasn't the play he wanted. Yeah. Again, I was at the game, so I wasn't able to see from the TV, so I didn't see Dan Mullen on the sideline. I only saw one time when he got upset when there was a delay of game and they threw the penalty out of a timeout. He wanted the referee to reset the play clock, and Florida ended up calling a timeout. But you know, I mean, that's one of those questionable things that I really don't understand. Those resetting the play clock at times. Let's see here. Trying to find some things to talk about, but Florida played well. I was walking back from the fourth quarter. Offensive line played well. The run game was a huge question coming into the season. And they totaled at 400 yards, something they haven't done, I don't think, in any postseason for Florida history. Something Florida needs to clean up. 9 penalties for 91 yards. Practice game tonight. Practice game next week in South Florida. And I don't know how many of you guys saw Alabama play Miami, but Alabama's in midseason form. And the way that Alabama defense played, that defensive line lived in the backfield. And for Florida to have any success in Florida's first real test against Alabama, they're going to have to play like they did tonight, especially running the football, which Dan Mullen hasn't been able to do in the last two seasons. So we'll see how that goes. Also, one thing that made me smile was Urban Meyer was at the game. I don't know if they showed that on TV at the end of the first quarter. They honored Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. Let me know what they said on TV if they showed it, because I was at the game. I didn't hear any boo birds, which kind of a surprise. If you remember, Florida, they honored the 2008 national championship team against LSU in 2018. That was the game that Florida had the pick six against Joe Burrow. And a lot of those guys were there, and Urban Meyer wasn't. Because he was still at Ohio State. And one thing I kept running in my head was, how would Urban Meyer be if he were still here, if he was here with the team? And he got a warm welcome. Time heals all wounds. I know a lot of Florida fans weren't pleased the way Urban Meyer left, especially the way the program was after. Especially kept under Will Muschamp. But I thought that was pretty cool. And let's see here. I saw a couple of tweets that I wanted to share. Malik Davis in the first half, he had 84 yards, and he was the featured tailback. Guys, let me know on the TV if something was said to why Dameon Pierce wasn't playing in the first half. It was mostly Malik Davis and Alex Bowman, which was really questionable to me. I thought Dameon Pierce was going to be the main guy. To me, it looked like he was he had to sit out the first half for some kind of, I don't know, suspension, or he got his first strike and Dan Mullen sat him down because he's supposed to be the workhorse. And if you noticed in the second half, he was the guy that got the carries, went right down the field and scored the touchdown. And if you remember, Dan Mullen's first year in 2018, CeCe Jefferson CeCe Jefferson had to sit out, and there was another player. So I mean, that was very odd to see Dameon Pierce not get a couple carries, as many carries as he did in the first half. Trying to look at the box score. Uh, but yeah, I was pretty pleased with the performance. Let's see you guys' comments. Uh, Damian Pierce scored the first touchdown. I think I missed that. I'm trying to look at the exact play because it's hard to remember everything. So please forgive me if he did score. Um, but yeah, I was pretty pleased with the performance. I was pretty pleased with the defense. Again, it is Florida Atlantic, so you're not expecting, everything, the whole kitchen sink. But Florida played pretty well. I was pretty pleased. Again, I see a lot of guys you clicking on. This is the Gators final report with Dylan Denmark. I'll be doing a 1-hour post-game show on the Florida Gators page at the Voice of College Football for Mark Rogers. Like this page. Let's subscribe. I saw there was about 260 subscribers on the channel before I started. We're trying to get that to about 1,000, and continue to share this on your social media pages and drop any questions and comments that you have for the game. And yeah, I know you guys are talking about LSU and UCLA. Yet that's not a game that surprised me well. But let's talk about Florida in the game. And a lot of questions around Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. I still think Emory Jones is going to be. This is what I think is going to happen. And this is going to be up to the Alabama game. Emory Jones is going to get the start. He's going to be the guy next week. Emory Jones will get the start and be the guy against Alabama. And then after that Alabama game, if Emory Jones continues to not play well, I'm not saying he had a couple miscues tonight, and Anthony Richardson plays like he did tonight, I think Dan Mullen is going to have a serious question who's going to start. Now, I don't know if he's going to pull the Spurrier and just go one play, one quarterback, or if he's going to go drive by drive. That'll be interesting to see. But I'm not going to be one of these emotional people. And after one game, Emory Jones, he's not the guy. Let's pull him. Richardson's good. Let's roll him. I trust Dan Mullen's judgment. I trust Dan Mullen's judgment all the way from Utah, when he was at Florida, Mississippi State, and back to Florida with Felipe Franks, with Kyle Trask, and now with Emory Jones. I think going into tonight, I was expecting Emory Jones to play the role of what Tim Tebow did in 2006. And if you go back to that season, Chris Leak was the guy. He was the guy. He was the dude. And a lot of people, if you remember, wanted Tim Tebow to play a lot more. And Tim Tebow was the workhorse in the 3rd and short and 4th and short, and got those runs because he was the bigger dude that could power through. And I think that's what Anthony Richardson is definitely going to be. It'll be interesting to see what Anthony Richardson is going to be, especially when he has to throw the ball. It seems like when he comes in, it seems like he's going to be more of a run dude. Again, this is his redshirt freshman season. He only played in 4 games. So we'll see. You're not playing a good team in South Florida next week, as they were rolled by NC State Thursday night. And then you get the test against Alabama. We have George here. Anthony Richardson is the new starting quarterback. Cam 2.0. I definitely see the Cam comparisons. Definitely has the same size. I would say, if you remember from Cam Newton in 2007, and I went to a lot of those games in 2007. Cam Newton came in late against that Tennessee game and that Vanderbilt game, and he would get those plays off tackle, and he would run over the defender. And Cam wasn't as elusive in that 2007 season. Anthony Richardson, this dude's not able to just run you over. This dude, he hurdled a guy. How are you at that size? What is his measurements? Like 6'3", 6'4", 240, and able to hurdle a dude? That's unfair. Yeah, I expect him to have a pretty good season. How many plays he gets, that'll be interesting to see. And along with the 2 backs in the backfield that Dan Mullen said a lot, Lingard didn't play a lot. Bowman played sparingly. He was off and on. Malik Davis got a lot of the carries from what it seemed like to me in the first half. So how many he got exactly? Give me one moment. Yeah, Malik Davis had the most carries, 14 carries for 104 yards and a touchdown. And Anthony Richardson had 160 yards. 75 of them were on one play. We have a couple more comments here. Danger Baby. If AR-15 don't start at the Gator Nation, he going to protest. Let's see here. Horse going to win the national championship. I love the enthusiasm. A little bit of sarcasm. Let's see what Chad says here. We did an awesome job. There's some work to do, obviously. And we need to work because we ain't going to throw yet. Go Gators. Yeah, Anthony Richardson, I had so I was at the game. I saw the first 3 quarters, and I had to walk. I watched the game on my phone from the 4th quarter. And so I didn't really see it live. But from what I saw, Anthony Richardson played really, really well. Anthony Richardson will come along as a backup to Anthony Richardson. Some kids just learn at a different pace. Anthony Emory Jones is still good. That is true. Everybody does have a different pace. You know, Emory Jones, he's been in the program for 4 years, and Anthony Richardson has this is his 2nd season. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, as this is the Gators Final Report. I'm Dylan Denmark, host of the On the Mark with Denmark podcast. You guys can follow me on Twitter. I post all my content there. I had an interview with Leon Searcy the other day. I try to get a guest every week, try to get 2 episodes. I've had Pat Dooley, Terry Norville, who does a show, College Sports Today, with Steve Spurrier and Shane Matthews, a couple Gators that a lot of you guys should know. So what was I talking about before? Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones, but defense played well. If some of you guys can comment what I was trying to say before I went on that side, I got sidetracked for a moment, but run the football. If you guys are just catching up, that was the biggest question for me offensively. Florida had not been able to do it at all in the last 2 seasons. And Florida didn't need to. Florida, you know, they competed with Alabama in the SEC championship. They beat Georgia last year, and they mostly threw the football. Now, you couldn't run the football, how bad the offensive line was, but it seems like that's going to change when you run the football for 400 yards. And I know it's just Florida Atlantic, but 400 yards is still 400 yards. The defense, Dale wants to know. Defense played well. Defense was the worst it's been since World War I think, like in the 40s. That's not good. And the biggest thing for the defense was not only were they bad, they were never lining up. And if it's week 10, week 11, a 10-game season against all SEC guys, and you're still playing in the SEC championship, and you're still not lining up, that's an issue. Because football is 3 things. It's alignment, assignment, and execution. How you line up, what your job is, and how well you do your job. Well, if you can't do the first thing and line up, you're not going to have a good assignment, and it means you're not going to execute. And there were too many times last season where Florida, the DBs were looking to the sideline to know what the play is, for whatever reason, to get the play call from Todd Grantham, or if they were being substituted. And the defense would look back. They're hitting their heads on the goalpost. The other band's playing, which means the other team scored a touchdown. That's just unacceptable last season. That did not happen tonight. And a lot of that changed up front defensively because Florida got after it. They were in the backfield. I'm trying to find out exactly how many sacks they had because I'm not seeing it on the ESPN app. But Florida played well. And it's specifically the interior. Because when you have a good interior, football is won from inside out. You know, everybody wants to talk about the weapons. You know, everybody when all the preseason football was all about, replacing Kyle Pitts, replacing Kadarius Toney replacing Kyle Trask, and that's all understandable. But if you don't have a line to protect your quarterback, if you don't have a line to move the line of scrimmage, it doesn't matter what you're able to do. And that speaks for the offensive side. If the defense is able to live in the backfield, like we saw today with Alabama, what they did against Miami, what Florida couldn't do last year, Florida should be good. And I was pretty pleased. Florida Atlantic didn't get a red zone trip until late in the fourth quarter, and they didn't have a lot of plays on Florida territory in the first quarter. And there were a lot of guys, a lot of young guys that didn't play last year that saw some playing time tonight. And Kyrie Elam played well. Zachary Carter, who's expected to have a huge breakout season, played really well. Bogle got a sack. There was a fumble late. There was 2 turnovers. They were both fumble recoveries. But I was pleased with the defense. I was really, really pleased with the defense. Continue dropping your comments, guys, and subscribe to the Gator channel. This is the Gators Final Report. I'm Dylan Denmark. If you're just now joining us, Florida beats Florida Atlantic 35-14. I believe the spread was 24. So let me do some quick math here. 21. So they didn't cover the spread exactly, but it was pretty close. Florida only led 14-0 at the half. The spread for the first half was 13.5. So Vegas hit the button on that. But I was pretty pleased with Florida overall. That's not to say that things can be worked. And, of course, the biggest question, we're going to be seeing a lot of shows for a lot of Gator pages where we get your content for Florida is going to be Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. Emory Jones didn't play well, and Anthony Richardson, he's a dude. He's a dude. I was expected him to play the role of Tim Tebow in 06, and it seems like he's going to play a little bit more of a role than what Tebow did in 06 if he's able to throw the football more consistently. Because Emory Jones, on the one interception, the second one, the DB was covered the entire time. It was just a corner route. I forget who the receiver was. And everybody was covered, so I don't know what he saw there, what the play was, what the design was. And the first interception was, I think he just had a miss throw. He should have lofted it into the end zone instead of throwing a missile. Let's see here. Let's see. Looking for some comments. Not so on the first DB. Helm played best. Yeah, Helm played well. Jalen Hill, who was supposed to play defensive back, has a season-ending injury. So Kyrie Elam obviously was going to have one side. He was going to have that on lockdown. The other side was going to be a big question. Helm played pretty well from my perspective. And again, I was at the game, so I wasn't able to see a lot of the replays from what if you were watching the game on TV. So, but I thought that the defense played decent. And I mean, guys, happiness is all based off of expectation. Again, it's Florida Atlantic, and how bad the defense was. I think anything is an improvement. They couldn't have played worse. And I really wanted to see what Florida was able to do up front of the defensive line, and they were able to get a lot of pressure in the backfield. Yeah, I remember there was one throw. What was it? It was a go route. I forget exactly when it was, but if the go route was connected, it would have been a touchdown. I think that was on Helm. But I mean, those go routes are hard to complete. They're only completed 30% of the time. It's the hardest route to complete. But that gets a lot of the highlights. Back to the quarterback. Richardson has to be the guy. Change the whole energy of the team. Yeah, he changed the energy of the crowd most definitely. You could definitely tell when he came in the game and made a play that the crowd definitely had a spark to them that they didn't have before. Again, if you're just now joining us, I see we have about 34 people listening. First, thank you guys for listening, for joining me. I'm Dylan Denmark, as we can put this banner here. This is the Gators Final Report. I'm gonna be here for 1 hour after every Gator game. So the Gator game next week against USF kicks off at 1, should end around 4 o'clock, and I'll be on right after for 1 hour, as I will for every Gator game. I'm Dylan Denmark. I graduated from the University of Florida. I've worked for a couple of radio stations. Got my journalism degree last year. Worked with Terry Norvell. He now does a show, College Sports Today, with Shane Matthews and Steve Spurrier. I've worked with Pat Dooley and Jeff Cardozo with WRUF with their radio station. And I'm very happy for this opportunity that Mark Rogers gave me to run the Gator postgame page. But we need to subscribe. We were at 268 when we went live. We're trying to get to 1,000. That's the goal, to get to 1,000. And you can follow me, my @name on Twitter. I post all the content at Dylan_Denmark. Anything with my podcast. And anything that I do in media, it definitely gets posted on there along with this page and this channel when I go live. A couple more comments I see you guys dropping in. That is true. Richardson was throwing it back up receivers, and personnel is definitely a huge thing to consider, especially when in a game like this when Florida has the game won, and it's important to consider personnel from both sides. Not only who your guys and they are on the outside, but the offensive line, what the other team is playing. So, and like I said, we'll definitely see what it's like going forward. And I've said this the entire time. You have 2 practice games in state, and then you play Alabama. So I'm not going to sit here and judge Dan Mullen. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that he should have, done this and that. I agree. I mean, I can question a lot of stuff, but Dan Mullen, I think he knows a lot more than what me and a lot of people are watching when it comes to offense, when it comes to quarterback, and we'll see what he does. He can see the film, he can adjust to South Florida, and throw some stuff before he plays Alabama, which is going to mean everything. Yeah, George, thanks for watching, guys. If you can't watch this page will be on later. So if you can't watch it later, or if you can't watch it right now, if you're not able to watch it when I'm live, you can always go to the page, the Florida Gator page, or the SEC page at the Voice of College Football. Let's see here. We have John Sawyer checking in. Would have liked to see more of the secondary. I still believe the secondary is a question mark. You have a couple of guys like Blades, who I expected to get a lot more play time. Sees he has some experience. Yeah. There were a lot of new guys in the secondary. Kyer Elam, he's obviously going to be your main guy, but yeah, it seemed like to me too. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I was at the game, so I didn't get the advantage of seeing replays and breaking things down exactly like I wanted to. But it didn't seem like Florida Atlantic had a lot of go routes, and they went deep. There was one where there was intentional grounding, and then there was another one when it was down the sideline. It would have been a touchdown. I think it was on Helm, but it was just overthrown. And I mean, the go route's only completed 30% of the time, which means, it's not an easy pass to complete. Mullen pride and ego will be his downfall in Gainesville. We'll see. Dan Mullen's definitely not my kind of cup of tea, especially some of the things he says and what he does in the press conference. But it's one of those things where, if you're good and you win, you can get away with it. And if you lose and you're not doing good, it's the first thing they go to. So I can see where you're going with that. But, if Dan Mullen and they play well this season and they beat Alabama, I don't think people talk about his pride and ego and what he says. I think they talk about the kind of coach he is. Rick Wells, the main target receiver tonight. That worries me. Yeah, again, I think for me, I think Dan Mullen knows what he has in his guys. I think he wanted to see what he had from his underclassmen being in this first game, because Dameon Pierce didn't play a lot first. Malik Davis got a lot of the carries and Malik Davis was supposed to be a third down back, and he was getting carries like a workhorse. Not saying he can't do it, but that's supposed to be Dameon Pierce and Alex Bowman, who I thought was going to get a couple more carries than what he did. But yeah, Rick Wells, 6-year senior from Jacksonville, from Raines High School, got his first career touchdown tonight. I'm not expecting him to be the main target going forward. Weston, I think his name was the main target, had the most receptions, which was odd. And I thought Copeland should have gotten a lot more touches. But, it's the first game. Again, I'm not overreacting. I'm not going to be one of those people that are going to be emotional and say, we need to pull Emory Jones. He didn't play well. Anthony Richardson played good. Throw him in next game for. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, a couple comments on Alabama. Alabama will kill us if we are one-dimensional. QB can win by running the ball, and was really glad we won. Go Gators. Yeah. As if the team is right now, from what we saw from Florida today, from what we saw from Alabama today, Florida should get beat pretty well by Alabama, and that's why Alabama's a big favorite. I can't disagree with you there. So, again, thank you guys for comments. I'm about to wrap this up as we're going to go to the A&M channel, as they will be on the SEC channel and the A&M channel. So if you want some post-game for that, stay here, as we'll be doing this for 1 hour after every single Florida Gator game. I'm Dylan Denmark. I graduated from the University of Florida last year with a journalism degree. I've worked with Terry Norvell. He now does a show on Facebook, College Sports Today. He does a show with Shane Matthews and Steve Spurrier. Guys, you might know their names if you're a true Gator fan. I work with Pat Dooley at WRUF and Jeff Cardozo and Steve Russell. And I have my own podcast, On the Mark with Denmark. Let me pull that up right here. I post that on YouTube and my Twitter. I try to do about an episode or two a week with a guest. I've had Leon Searcy on the other day, Pat Dooley on, Terry Norvell, Brent Beard, and we just talk college ball. That's definitely my niche and what my passion is. And here's my Twitter handle, at Dylan_Denmark. I think that's going to wrap it up tonight. Florida comes out on top, 35-14 over Florida Atlantic. Thank you guys for listening. Let's subscribe to the Florida Gator channel. We were at 260, almost 270 subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000 before the end of the season. And I'm going to try to do a couple of shows this week, as I'm going to wait for some guys for emotion to settle down. Let's enjoy Labor Day. Enjoy your day off Monday. Let's get back to work on Tuesday. I'll pump out some content, and we'll chop it up. We'll definitely talk Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. Florida Bama would run the football, what they haven't been able to do the last 2 seasons. And defense played well. And thanks, John. Lovely. I really didn't know until you dropped the heart emoji that you love me, but appreciate it. All right, last comment, and then we'll get out of here. You see that Emory can go through progressions or read defenses. You kind of needs to pull him. I was at the game, so I wasn't able to see the replay. I think when you're at quarterback and you're being coached by Dan Mullen, I think when you have plays, you know what you want to read. When a play comes in, you know that it's supposed to be one read, when it's supposed to be two reads. And, whether it was covered, whether if that's how Dan Mullen wanted it, I don't know. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Dan Mullen. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's just my belief. So that'll wrap it up on the SEC channel. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have A&M post game. But Florida comes out on top, 35-14 over Florida Atlantic. Catch us next week, next Saturday, after Florida plays South Florida. Kickoff is at 1. I'll be on here on the Florida Gator and the SEC channel right around 4 o'clock. I'm Dylan Denmark with the Gators Final Report. You can follow me right there on the Twitter page at Dylan_Denmark. Thank you guys for listening. Subscribe to the channel, like it, give me a thumbs up, and give me a follow on Twitter so you won't miss any of the content. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.